am enjoying the heck out of these books. These are so awesome. I really am. Sorry. No special editing here. Welcome to the D. Louise book series. I'm Christina, Kristina. This is where we read book and talk about books. No special effects, no special editing here. What you see is what you get. If you remember the old Roots web, what you see is what you get in your editing page for Roots Web, and that's like a really long time ago. But anyways, please check out my Star Trek Next Generation recaps on Fridays, my If Then episodes on Friday afternoons. If you like this author, then maybe you like that author. And Flashback Mondays, where we talk about all the books reviewed in this magazine. Some weeks I do 50, some weeks I do 60, some weeks I get carried away and do 70. And the If Then, if you like this author, then maybe you like this one. I did an If Then a couple of weeks ago. I hope you checked it out. If not, please go check it out. And I actually got a book from my own recommendation list. And these, please go check out all the videos for these. These are awesome. I did a time travel one. They're not as good as Outlander, but they're right up there. If you're going to give Outlander a 5, I'm going to give these a 4. I'm still waiting for the other shoe to drop. It hasn't dropped yet. But, we got, Murder in Time, Twist in Time, Hot in Time, and now we are doing Betrayal in Time. And if you haven't, please check out my daily book reviews, and that's what this is. This is one of my daily book reviews. We are doing James Patterson's Alex Cross series, J.R. Ward's Black Dagger Brotherhood series, and we are doing Victoria Thompson's Gaslight series. So we're doing those series. Yes, ma'am. Yes. Can I help you? So we're doing those 4 series and this one. I love this series. It's so awesome. It's doing really good. Come here. I am enjoying the heck out of this series. It's just awesome. Kendra is an FBI agent, and she was on this mission. And I explained most of this in the first video, so please go check it out. She, on her the other people in her group were on a special op. They were going to go get these 2 bad guys, and the op goes bad 6 ways to Sunday. And before I forget, spoilers, I spoil everything. I've done over 1,000 videos, and every last one of them is spoilers. So please, I will share these books up the yin-yang. I won't tell you who did it. I won't tell you who did it with this. I won't tell you who did it with Patterson's books or Victoria Thompson's, but I will tell you everything that's what happened with the characters. So be aware of that. And please spread the word that my channel exists. If you could please hit the like and subscribe, I'd appreciate it. It means a lot. My channel really hasn't gone anywhere. But anyways, Kendra is working with the FBI, and they went on this special op. The op goes wrong. She ends up in the hospital. One of the bad guys got away. Yes, ma'am. Well, you're nibbling at my elbow. So one of the bad guys got away, and she goes off to trap down the bad guy, and the bad guy's going to be at a reenactment party in a London castle, and she goes in and she decides she's going to be one of the maids, and she infiltrates the group. And I will probably talk about this again later on in the book, but because she's talked about what would happen, how she speculated, just thinking, not actually doing anything, speculated about how she could, leave a message for herself. And I was thinking, maybe there's a law firm that still exists. Their descendants still run the law firm in 2015. Maybe they could leave them some money, put it in a bank account, and every year, they'll get this big, huge payout in 2015 if they make sure this letter is delivered to her in the hospital or even before the op. Because, tell her not to go to London, or if she goes to London and she doesn't actually get the bad guy, someone else gets the bad guy, but she gets framed for it, and she goes into this secret passageway, and when she goes in this secret passageway, she enters a vortex or something, and she ends up in 1815, I believe. And I was thinking, well, if she would still like to go back to 1815, she should pack a suitcase of socks, sneakers, t-shirts, jeans, and a whole bunch of Tylenol and Motrin and other ladies' products, if she wanted to continue with this. And that was just thinking of all the variations of what her note could be. And I will probably say that all over again in a little bit, because it comes up. And it just struck me as interesting. So, we have, the Watchman. A kid stole an apple, and we have the Watchman chasing him, and the kid leaves him on a merry chase and gets away. But when the policeman, the Watchman, follows the kid into a church, or a supposed old building. Yeah, church. It's a church. He finds a naked dead guy with his tongue cut out. So he sends for Sam Kelly, our Bow Street runner. And as you know, Kendra is living with the Duke and Alec and Rebecca. And Lady Atwood is the Duke's sister, and she's a stickler for society and the tone, and that's all she worries about. And all Kendra worries about is solving cases, proving murders, working with Bow Street. I totally, absolutely think that Kendra should do something with Bow Street. I have mentioned this before. I forgot to look it up. But in my Catherine Schulman books, in my Wild. It's Wild. I know it's Wild. The useful woman, she helps Bow Street solve cases, murder cases sometimes, robbery cases sometimes. So I'm just thinking that maybe Kendra needs to get with Bow Street. She's used to being an FBI agent. I don't know how people in the ton would accept a lady of her supposed caliber, although Kendra doesn't think she has any caliber, working for Bow Street, but I think she would be really happy doing just that, working for Bow Street. So there's the naked dead guy in the church. They send for Sam Kelly. Sam Kelly sends for Kendra and the Duke to assist him. They go to the Dr. Monroe is our normal coroner that we've been dealing with. And they go to Dr. Coroner. And if you hold the light in a certain way, you see that the gentleman that was murdered, Sir Giles, his body is filled with tattoos and religious symbols and a whole bunch of stuff. So, they want to find out, who has access to invisible writing. The chemists, the apothecaries will have something like that. So there are some really amusing antidotes as Kendra and the Duke and Lady Rebecca and Sam and Muldoon, the newspaper reporter. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Try to solve the murder. And it's just, the Duke enjoys solving the cases as much as Kendra does. Come here, stop. Because people think it's weird that a Duke is doing all this stuff. but he's enjoying the heck out of it. So Kendra calls the markings on the body stenography, hiding a message inside a source, like writing messages with invisible ink inside the pages of a letter or book. And the ink was created by Sir James J. And apparently Sir James J. just died the previous year. And Kendra thinks he's in the history books, 200 years later. She didn't realize that this guy might have still been alive when she was there. So they go in and they go into the autopsy, and she's questioning the doctor, and she keeps wishing for the plastic gloves, to put on so you're not touching stuff. And I like how she washes her hand with whiskey afterwards as a disinfectant, and they're all looking at her like she's wasting good whiskey, but she knows about germs and how alcohol kills germs. And then Rebecca is pacing the floors because they felt she was too delicate to go into the autopsy room. And she spies a man with his ear to the door, and she jumps on him, and turns out that he's Muldoon. He's a newspaper reporter, and he becomes a little bit of an assistant to them all. He works. We also learn that Kendra has been investing in the stock exchange, using a little bit of her knowledge to better herself. So she's earning a few coins, because she made a good point in the last book that she has been handling her own finances her entire life, and she's used to being able to support herself and buy stuff for her, with the money that she earned working. And she does not like having to wait on having the largesse, I think that's what it's called, of the Duke or Alec or anybody else in the household. She wants to be able to earn her own coin. So she's doing a little bit with the exchange. And she goes out to see Bear. Bear is the guy from the first book. He's like a mobster type situation, and she borrows her maid's uniform, and her maid has a canary that she's gonna go off and see this guy, and it just cracks me up. So let me just do this little bit. Or is it no? When I do these books, I like to share these books with you. Kendra scooped up the coins, dropping them into a pouch with quite satisfaction. She'd earned this money herself by investing in the exchange. It wasn't quite the fortune she anticipated when she borrowed money from the Duke to invest. To her surprise, she'd learned that from being the future didn't necessarily give her the advantage that she thought it would. Macroeconomics versus microeconomics, she was aware of the bigger picture. Diesel engines would be huge, but not for another 50 plus years. You couldn't invest in technology that hadn't been invested yet. And knowing about upcoming trend wasn't quite a sure bet either, because the stock market wasn't about trends, it was about companies. And a company may continue to thrive in the 21st century, but that didn't mean that the same company didn't go through highs and lows along the way. Still, she managed to earn enough to pay back the Duke and save a tidy sum for herself. Her sense of accomplishment and her need to earn her own money baffled the Duke and Alec. It was an area in which they would probably never see eye to eye. Yes! 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 Come here! Come here! Yes. You're interrupting my video, So she does that. And then we get this message. It turns out that there was an incident in Spain, and that's one of the things that we really don't find out about till the very, 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 very end of the book. What specifically happened in Spain. But apparently there's a little bit of a cover-up. And it takes a while, it takes several chapters, but somebody is going after the guys that had some sort of connection to what happened in Spain. There was another op that went wrong, And so let's see. Let me see if I can get this now. I don't even know why I wrote this page down. I just like sharing this stuff. Um uh let's see. I really don't know why. Um Yes, Fitzpatrick had been vocal on his support of Irish emancipation. So are most respectable Whigs, Alex said with a shrug. There's no shortage of men and women voicing such sentiment. What is it about Mr. Fitzpatrick that makes you think he killed Giles? Sir Giles confided to me that he thought Fitzpatrick and his men were following him. For what purpose? Probably because Giles had the Libber under surveillance as well, so they were spying on each other. Okay, so that's a little bit there. But one of the people that had died in as a result of the thing is Everett Lawson, and Kendra spends quite a bit of time talking with the Lawsons, and they're reluctant to assist her in this case. And there's an apothecary. Uh, uh, let's see if I can find it. Uh, I said, uh, perhaps I should have said that Mr. Lawson is a very successful apothecary, but that is not how the two men were connected. Sir Giles once told me they'd been boys together in Hammersmith and fought in the same regiment against the colonist uprising in America. A very old friendship indeed. They maintained their connection even though Sir Giles' military career outmatched Mr. Lawson's, and His Majesty granted Sir Giles a baronet. The man is really a brilliant strategist. Such a terrible loss. How did Mr. Lawson's son die? I heard that he was attempting to capture English soldiers from the 52nd Regiment of Foot. If you wish to know more, you ought to speak to Elliot Cross or Captain Hugh Mowbray. They know the details. They should. They were the only two survivors. Uh-huh. There's a little bit of a hint there. So then she sneaks out of the house and talks to the mobster that I mentioned previously. Let's see. So we do need to be careful, the Duke said. It wouldn't do to tell Mr. Muldoon about your predilection for wearing servant's attire and racing about London alone. His tone was so mild that it took Kendra a moment to realize what he'd said. Slowly she set down her coffee cup. You know. He regarded her steadily. Did you think I would not find out what is happening in my own household? 26-year-old, and I'm feeling as guilty as a child caught playing hooky. I was going to tell you. You know where I come from. Women don't have to ask permission to step outside, and they don't require chaperones to follow them around. I miss my freedom. I'm aware we come from different worlds, my dear, but these rules are in place to protect ladies from harm. They were at an impasse. The Duke belonged in a different era, this era. She was the one who really didn't belong. Who did you visit this morning? He finally asked. Bear. Bear? He says. The Duke set down his teacup with a rattle. Good God, are you speaking of the ruffian who had you and Alec kidnapped last year? Who beat Alex, who threatened to molest you? Kendra smiled weakly. Now you know why I didn't tell you. This is not amusing, Kendra. A steely note sharpened the aristocrat's voice. The man could have easily killed you. Yeah, but she had to ask him questions, and she got some valuable information from him. So it was good that she went and saw him. So they also, her and Rebecca do some snooping around the church. They see an older woman. We really don't hear too much about her. They discuss the cake some more. She goes and sees Mrs. Holbrook. That's the wife of the guy that was killed. And she really doesn't want to answer their questions. She doesn't... She thinks they're blaming her son because her son had a public argument with his father recently. But this was not a crime of passion. This was a meticulously planned out murder. So Kendra doesn't think the son did it. And while this is going on, and you have to remember that Kendra is all about the murder. She's full cop mode. She's investigating the murder, and that's her focus. Her sole focus is on the murder, right? She's FBI. She's after the guy, and then I can't remember if this is before. This is before. So, but Mrs. Lady Atwood is the Duke's sister. And the Duke's sister is all about the ton and all about the social engagements. And, let's see, good, she nodded. Then fixed her gaze on Kendra. I shall be frank with you, Miss Donovan. You'll catch cold if you think Mr. Larson, elder or younger, has anything to do with what happened to Sir Giles. For heaven's sakes, they're apothecaries. If one can't trust an apothecary, who can you trust? Kendra laughed. I'm not sure any American would agree with you, my lady. Lady St. James had been turning away, one foot on the steps of her carriage, but now she looked back at Kendra, her eyes arched in haughty expression that seemed at odds with her ruffled attire. Pray tell, why would Americans dislike apothecaries? Not dislike, but they might not trust one. Benedict Arnold was an apothecary. Ah, the matron inclined her head and smiled. Well, that is a matter of perspective, Miss Donovan. Mr. Arnold was trustworthy to the English. Yeah. So they do some more investigating, and then they've been invited to the ball, and Lord Cross will be at the ball. So Kendra goes to talk to Lord Cross and do some more investigating and talk to anybody else that may be there at the ball in regards to the case. And this is what I was talking about in the beginning of the book that I knew I would be mentioning again. But her gown was sheer shell pink gaze over cream satin underslip with long sleeves and a square neckline that was dangerously low. Tiny rosettes and seed pearls were scattered across the bodice, catching the candlelight, while the skirt seemed to froth around her ankles with each step. While there were many days when Kendra desperately longed for the easy stride of Leroy jeans, the comfort of cotton t-shirts and knit cardigan, or even cotton and the spandex blends of trousers and a blazer, tonight she did feel elegant in her long white kid gloves with her dark hair pulled up in a high elaborate bouffant that Molly had decorated with pearls. Because Alex said that she looked nice, and I'm sitting there. This was I was thinking when I was reading this, that if she ever was successful to get a note to herself, that she should tell her, like I said before, maybe not go through with the rendezvous that she had planned, that she executed in the first book, but maybe just go into the secret room for the vortex, but to take with her a suitcase of modern Tylenol and Motrin, ladies' feminine products, maybe a bra or two, some underwear, some garments, some jeans, some t-shirts, all that kind of stuff. So they do some more investigating, and they're eliminating characters as they go through the book. And another little thing that I thought was a little on the interesting side. The Duke had gone to a discussion on slavery, and he says, I hope America will follow Mr. Hicks' lead and overthrow the bonds of slavery. What say you, Miss Donovan? Will your countrymen end this ugly arrangement? Kendra met his gaze and he knew he was asking her what would happen, not take her on what might happen. It may take a while, but I'm certain those who share Mr. Hicks' viewpoint will be vindicated, she said carefully. Not that millions will die in the process, and not that unequal rights will last a very, very long time, and bigotry will last a very, very long time, and racism will last a very, very long time. We're still dealing with those ramifications. I'm telling you, people are raised. If you're exposed to only one type of environment, and it's the only environment that you've been exposed to, that's how you're going to grow up. But if you grow up in a neutral household or a neutral neighborhood or a neutral school, I got it. Then that's how you'll end up as a neutral person. But there is several areas, several states in this country that are massively, massively racist, but we won't go there. But they do continue to investigate the case, and at one point, this cracked me up. This will probably be the last share that I share with you. But they get no, the Sir Giles' tongue had been cut out in the beginning of the book. That's like the first couple of chapters. Someone sends it to Kendra as a gift, and Kendra sees it. The rest of the family is horrified, and Kendra says, "Well, that means I'm getting close. Someone's nervous. They're trying to scare me off the case." And in the midst of all this, in the midst of being bogged down by the case and going through the murder board and all the other stuff, Kendra's like this. This is all she sees. Lady Atwood, I've got this itch. Lady Atwood comes in and just destroys it. Apparently you are still the toast of the town, Miss Donovan, said Alec, not sounding particularly happy over the news. Receiving a severed tongue as a gift isn't quite the social stigma one might think. Curiosity has its own celebrity, she muttered, and saw that Lady Atwood was eyeing her critically. What? I think I ought to contact my boutique. You'll need new gowns. Why do I need new gowns? I haven't worn some of the gowns from the last time we went to your dressmaker. Lady Atwood ignored her, and this will require lessons in etiquette. Almack's has the strictest code of propriety in all of England, and the worst lemonade, blandest buttered bread, and cattiest ladies in all the kingdom, Alex marked. Kendra raised an eyebrow. Why does anyone go if it's so bad? A smile ghosted around his lips, because there is nothing more enthralling than to be accepted into a place that turns everybody else down. Kendra laughed. At least we're not the social power that I feared, Lady Atwood said sharply, and plucked the invitation back from her brother. She shook the card at Alex. This is a wonderful thing. My dear friend Lady St. James will be green with envy. She was banned from the club 2 years ago, after Lady Jersey flew up into the bows over some previous slight. I don't have time for this. Again, Kendra looked at the Duke to back her up. Don't fret, my dear. The invitation for Almack's is over 2 weeks away. Almack's is not the only invitation, Lady Atwood reminded them, smiling as she lifted the stack of cards in her hands like trophies, which Kendra supposed they were. Have no fear, the Countess said, moving toward the door. I shall take it upon myself to sort through them and decide which ones we shall attend. Kendra inhaled, then let it out sharply. Don't look so worried, sweet. When they find out what's behind your newfound popularity, the ladies of the Bumo will be sending themselves severed body parts, and you'll soon fall out of favor. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. So this book is just awesome. This whole series is just awesome. I've got my Regenist. I've got this girl that's so out of place, like Claire Beecham Randall Fraser was. But Claire went back. I'm waiting to see if Kendra makes it back and if she goes back again. Because that's what happened with Outlander. Claire stayed with Jamie. It was only a couple of years. And then she went back to her modern time for the birth of Brianna. And then she stayed in modern times for 20 years with Brianna. And then once Frank died, she went back. So I'm wondering if Kendra is going to be able to pull that maneuver off. And when she goes forward and when she goes back, when Claire did it, there was a time differential. So we're going to have to see what happens. But I am anxious to start the next book, Shadows in Time. And we've got to get to the Patterson book and the Black Dagger Brotherhood. Got a lot to be read this week. But join me in reading House Kendra. Several people get murdered in this book. There are several murders. She's working closely with Bow Street, Sam Kelly. She's working closely with Muldoon, the reporter. The Duke gets involved. Alex gets involved. Rebecca gets involved. They're having a really good time solving these murder mysteries. Who knows what the staff is thinking? Kendra is trying to treat Molly as her girlfriend or associate, and Molly is keep telling her that I'm just the maid. But see, Kendra is from normal society. She's not used to being a duke or a duchess or a lady. She's just a normal human middle class person. Although maybe an upper middle class person, because her parents were very, very wealthy. They left her a little bit of an inheritance. They're not. They gave her some, I forget what it's called, but the parents were still alive. They set her up with a little bit of a, not inheritance, not allowance, but I forget what the word is. And then she also had the job at the FBI. So she had her own money and she was just used to doing for herself. She was just used to being an average person, and she's not used to being, apparently, the Duke and Alex have elevated. They think they're above the middle class. And Kendra still believes she's middle class. And I just love these books. I am having so much fun with these books. If you could please hit the like and subscribe, I'd appreciate it. And join me in the journey as Kendra solves these murders. It's just awesome. Thank you so much.